Assume House is a great doctor.
Why would you assume that?
Because when you're that big a jerk, you're either great or unemployed.
Since when? It's actually the other way around.
How would you describe my leadership skills?
Non-existent. Otherwise excellent.
Apart from that, not only House, but everybody assumes being really f***ing good at something implies putting that thing ahead of any human considerations, like politeness, basic respect, and it's not that terrible apparently as long as that person keeps getting things done. This is especially true when it comes to bosses and their leadership qualities.
There's more to being a leader than being a jerk.
The world will never know.
We may have had a recent exploration of new ways of leadership, but most of them are good concepts the corporative jargon co-opts and empties of all meaning besides your typical feel-good vibes. We're so woke and so progressive. The general way our company screws with people in and out of the company is basically the same as always, but with good PR. Many mistrust these nice, assertive, empathic leadership types full of soft skills. We mistrust them because we feel more or less like House. I myself have been a boss that tries to be the soft skills type, and I found them infuriating anyway. And as a boss, even getting good results with assertiveness, every time the smallest thing goes wrong, my instinct tells me I should have been tougher. And that haunts me every time I hear about the Joss Whedon thing. More so after her last interview, which had a main thesis. It is what it is. If you get to be a boss, sooner or later you're going to end up being some level of an asshole. If you get to be influential, you're going to take an unfair advantage of it. And Whedon is not wrong, because those statements are empty. You don't need to be a boss. Every single person is an asshole to someone, eventually. Every single person takes unfair advantages of things at some point. But we are all pigs, so rejoice in the mud is not an argument. For a guy that spoke so much about being an absurdist, he comes across quite nihilistic here. Very simplistically, both absurdism and nihilism are philosophies based on the fact that there is no inherent meaning to anything whatsoever. Jest is a fact. Fight me. Absurdism says, who cares? Being aware of it and keep existing is reason enough to live. Nihilism is a bit like a mean teenager saying, okay, whatever. Sorry, but throwing up your hands, yeah, I was a shitty boss, a shitty husband, everybody's shitty, whatever. It's just a way of pretending you're saying sorry. You evolved without actually doing the one or the other. That's been discussed to death already for way better creators than myself. But as for Whedon, I can't stop thinking about Lindsay Ellis's The Last of the Game of Thrones hot takes. Quoting Robert Acaro, when you have enough power to do what you always wanted to do, then you see what the guy always wanted to do. This instills a chicken or egg question in my mind. Only people that deep down want to be controlling or abusive go to managerial leadership positions, or the position the way work relationships work make bosses controlling and or abusive. Well, it's never the chicken nor the egg. Yeah, certain personality types get drawn to leadership roles, but only some of those will be really controlling or abusive. And yeah, the near-absolutist way work relationships work often intensifies abusive tendencies, but that doesn't absolve abusive people. Because I'm so egotistical, I think about my own managerial experience. You see, I've been a camp director in summer camps and linguistic immersion programs for 11 years, basically the counselor's immediate boss. So I've been working with kids and young people as my underlings. Not all, but many, the wokest people imaginable. It's all about equality and feminism with them. And still, even coming from that environment, I feel Whedon when he says he had to sleep with all those women that wouldn't look at him twice in his nerdy high school years. Not because his behavior is justifiable, far from that, but because, in my experience, it's expected of you as a cis male boss. And in any case, people will point out every instance you were remotely close to a female counselor to say you wanted to get into her pants. And on the other hand, many will lose respect for you if you don't try to get into at least some pants. And even if I didn't do anything, it crossed my mind several times that if people are going to give you shit about it either way, I'm a little dumb for not doing it. I remember this time having drinks with one of my counselors after the camp session, commenting about everything that had happened for the nth time. Among many anecdotes, he didn't ask, he assumed I had been hooking up with one particular counselor, a girl I had been working with for some years and had become my right hand in several camps. I denied it 3 times in a row. Come on, you had to do it. No. Tell the truth, I didn't hook up with her, I didn't try. It's impossible, it was pretty obvious due to... Again, no. I had to suppress my outrage about him or anyone thinking I'm somehow incapable of choosing my right hands on the job solely because of their job performance. But the worst part was that he didn't actually think she was a bad counselor, nor that I had put her in that position because I liked her. No, he admitted she was very good. But he just couldn't fathom that the girl and me had a close work relationship, and I looked so often glad and impressed about her job without me trying something. I could have lied and told him I had tried something and failed, and I could have get some sympathy. But the idea pissed me off. However little people value the job of summer camp counselors, we take care of children, and I like the damn job, so I take it f***ing seriously. Me letting myself being carried away by my counselor's attractiveness wouldn't make me a red-blooded human being. It would make me a bad boss, and a weak one. But I realized, in his mind, me actually not having tried something would have made him lose some respect for me. So I ended up dismissing the thing, talking of something else. Of course, that only reinforced his belief I didn't want to admit it had happened because I was being polite. Like I said before, I don't think this kind of pressure, probably multiplied by 1000 in a really important job like Whedon's, absolves him at all. But we should start to realize people that roll their eyes at Whedon's situation and others like it, saying, "What did you expect him to do?" are not much better than him. And how bad is he? There was a good deal of commotion at the beginning of Whedon's falling out of grace. How Joss Whedon, the feminist test creator, the creator of Buffy, could be that way. Well, first, you can want equality in the abstract, but then being anything but what you preach in your everyday life. People are complex that way. And if we think on the base idea for Buffy,
I'd seen a lot of horror movies, which I love very much, with blonde girls getting themselves killed in dark alleys, and I just germinated this idea about how much I'd like to see a blonde girl go into a dark alley, get attacked by a big monster, and then kill it.
we all supposed that was an empowering perspective for the girl on Whedon's part. Me too. I bet Whedon himself did, especially with so many people telling him so and praising him because of it. But if you think about it, the only thing that proves is that he is not a necrophiliac. You know, the main problem with pretty blonde girls that get themselves killed is they tend to get all that and stuff. Pale, bruised, injured, cuts, blood, sometimes grey matter, broken bones, even those cheekbones. It really ruins the appeal. Who would like that? A hot slayer is much better. She fights, she wins, she even heals faster than normal girls, so she gets pretty again right away. Besides, all that stamina, it's well established in the mythology of the show what slaying does to their libido. Imagine being the guy she goes to afterward. See, Whedon is not a necrophiliac. I still think Buffy is a feminist empowering show, but those things are there too, precisely because Whedon probably didn't think about them. That lack of reflection makes him closer to the misogynistic nerds that think being rejected gives them the right to correct the situation by any means necessary. Whedon wasn't just corrupted by the system allowed him to be the most asshole version of himself, and he gave in to those tendencies. A bit of chicken, a bit of egg. Again, I've been a boss too, in my small way, leading summer camp counselors. I've been doing it for years. I started trying to imitate the leadership styles I admire the most, that is, treating people fairly, being respectful, but demanding every last drop of blood in terms of effort and commitment. In time I learned that just because I respond well to that as a worker, that doesn't mean everybody is or should be like me. I still value hard work and commitment above everything else, but I know now, as a boss, you need different strategies with different people to get that. If you ask people around now, they'll tell you I'm mostly assertive and accessible, I care about the kids and the counselors, but I also tend to hold back. Many times I don't say what's in my mind until the last moment, and still sometimes I squeeze people too hard. I've evolved, but I am who I am. Suddenly I see myself at the other side of the fence. I know many counselors, again most of them young, progressive, socially aware people that not only like but prefer camp directors to be demanding, harsh, rude, even mean. This last summer, I led a camp close to another one. The camp director there was known for being just that, always demanding and harsh, sometimes rude, even mean. But she has a team. People that have been working with her for years and prefer her style, feel comfortable with it. I have a team of my own, people who prefer things my softer way. But I met directors that get to the point of being verbally abusive, calling people names in meetings in front of their fellow counselors. And they also have people around, young progressive types who say they prefer it that way. When I wonder why, I remember many times when a quick and possibly unpopular solution needs to be implemented in one of my camps, and some second in command takes that decision with me, I used to tell them that we are going to pretend it was my sole decision. First, because coming from me, the boss, fewer people are going to argue, and so that the second in command doesn't get a bad rep because of the controversial decision. Let me be the bad guy, I usually say. The thing is, it works. The controversial decision gets implemented in time, the problems get solved, the camp keeps going, the kids have a good time. This working doesn't mean there are no other ways, better ways. But at the end of the day, having a boss that just tells you what needs to be done is reassuring and takes responsibility out of you too. Joss Whedon may be a bad boss, a bad person even, but none of us is as evolved as we think we are, and our very idea of leadership is often distorted. I still sometimes think being a rougher boss would be better, and I have to reflect about it several times to not fall into it. Even if you prefer assertive leadership styles, don't you sometimes feel the same?